Samaria, high noon, the worst possible time to be outside. The sun is directly overhead, there is no shade, the heat is absolute, and every woman in this town knows that you draw water in the morning, in the cool, in the company of other women. That's how it works. That is the social ritual. That is the belonging. So when a woman arrives at Jacob's here, well, alone at noon, the message is clear. She is not welcome in the morning group. She has been excluded. She draws her water in the heat of the day, alone, because the community has decided that is where she belongs. This is where our story begins. Not in a palace, not in a courtroom, at a well, in the middle of the day, with a woman who has been pushed to the margins of her own community. And what happens next is one of the most sophisticated cross-cultural negotiations in the entire biblical record. I'm going to break it down for you move by move. Because what this woman does, what she says, how she says it, and what she does with the outcome is a masterclass in negotiating across barriers. And it is available to you today. Before we get to the negotiation itself, we need to understand the barriers, because this conversation should not have happened. Not by any social norm of first century Palestine. There are 3 stacked barriers between these two people, and each one alone would have been enough to prevent the conversation entirely. Barrier 1, ethnicity. Jews and Samaritans had centuries of mutual hostility. The enmity was deep, historical, and religious. Most Jews traveling between Galilee and Judea took the long route around Samaria entirely. They would add days to their journey rather than set foot in Samaritan territory. The fact that Jesus is sitting at a Samaritan well is already a statement. Barrier 2, gender. A man speaking to an unrelated woman in public was a significant social transgression in first century Palestine. When the disciples return and find Jesus in conversation with this woman, the text tells us they marveled. They were astonished. Not because of what was being said, because the conversation was happening at all. Barrier 3, reputation. She draws water at noon. Alone, she has been marginalized even within her own community. She is not just a Samaritan woman. She is a Samaritan woman with a complicated personal history, and the community has made sure she knows it. 3 barriers: ethnicity, gender, reputation, stacked on top of each other, and the conversation happens anyway. Here is why. The first move belongs to Jesus, and it is a move that most people in positions of power never make. He asks for something. He is tired. He has been walking. He is thirsty. And instead of commanding, instead of pronouncing, instead of doing what powerful people typically do, he makes a genuine request. Give me a drink. That is it. That is the opening. 4 words. A request from the more powerful party. Now here's what I want you to notice about that. A genuine request from someone with more power creates immediate engagement. It signals dialogue. It signals that the more powerful person wants an exchange, not a pronouncement. It creates space for the less powerful person to respond, and the woman does respond immediately. And her response is the second move. She names the barriers out loud without apology. She says, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink of me, a woman of Samaria?" She does not pretend the awkward dynamic doesn't exist. She does not smooth it over. She does not perform politeness. She names it. And this is one of the most underrated moves in cross-cultural negotiation. When you name the barrier, you create honesty. And honesty creates movement because now both parties know that both parties know. The pretense is gone, the real conversation can begin. Jesus does not apologize for crossing the barriers. He does not explain himself. He does not defend the transgression. He reframes. He says, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him and he would have given you living water." He has just moved the conversation from the social propriety question, should this conversation be happening at all, to a value question. What is available here that neither of us has named yet? This is the reframe. And it is the move that changes everything. When a conversation is stuck on the barrier, raise the ceiling. Move from the stuck question to the higher order question. What is the larger possibility that neither party has named yet? Now the woman does something remarkable. She does not immediately buy in. She tests the reframe. She pushes back. She says, "You don't even have a bucket. The well is deep. Where are you going to get this living water?" She is demanding evidence before she commits. She is not hostile. She is not credulous. She is genuinely engaged and intellectually rigorous. And then, and this is the moment most people misread, Jesus asks her to call her husband. And she tells the truth. She says, "I have no husband. That is all." No explanation, no justification, no self-condemnation, just the truth. And Jesus honors it. He says, "You are right." What she does in that moment is one of the most powerful moves in the entire negotiation. She tells the truth about her situation without self-condemnation. She does not manage impressions. She does not perform. She does not hide. She simply states what is true. And that honesty, that radical transparency, is what creates the trust that makes everything else possible. The conversation deepens. The woman pivots to the theological question. She raises the issue of worship. Where should people worship, this mountain or Jerusalem? She's moving the conversation from the personal to the universal, from her situation to the bigger question. And then comes the revelation, the most profound disclosure of the entire encounter. And the woman's response is immediate. She leaves her water jar. She goes back to the city. She speaks to the people. And here's what she says. She does not say, "I found the Messiah." She says, "Come and see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Christ?" She frames it as an invitation, not a claim. She brings the harvest without claiming it. She says, "Come and see." Not, "I have the answer." Come and see. This is the invitation model of advocacy, and it is the most effective form of influence available to any of us. Because when you invite rather than claim, you give the other person the dignity of their own discovery. You do not demand that they accept your conclusion. You invite them into the experience. And the result? Many Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. The woman who came to the well alone, at noon, excluded from the morning community, became the catalyst for a citywide movement from invisible to unstoppable. In one conversation, here is the playbook. Move 1, make the genuine request. The more powerful person asking creates dialogue. It signals you want an exchange, not a pronouncement. Move 2, name the barriers honestly. Don't pretend the awkward dynamic doesn't exist. Naming it creates honesty. Honesty creates movement. Move 3, reframe to the higher order question. When the conversation is stuck on the barrier, raise the ceiling. What is the larger possibility neither party has named yet? Move 4, tell the truth about your situation without self-condemnation. Honest acknowledgement of reality builds trust that impression management never can. Move 5, bring the harvest without claiming it. Frame your advocacy as an invitation. Come and see. Not, "I found it, come and see." This is the negotiation of the Samaritan woman at the well, and it is available to you today. If you found this valuable, subscribe to the Bible Wealth channel. Every week we uncover the negotiation strategies, wealth principles, and leadership wisdom hidden in plain sight in your Bible. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, and we will see you in the next episode.